Hello everybody, today I'm showing you how I ballast my Kato Unitrack. Everyone has their own little twists on doing it, and I'm going to show you mine today. I like to move things along, and I prefer not to use the eyedropper method for the watered down glue and the alcohol. I have it here because I will be adding just a bit of ballast. You gotta be really careful around these turnouts. I'm gonna be adding just a little bit along the edges, but I'm definitely not touching any part of the track in the area of the points or the frogs or the sleepers or anything with any ballast or any sort of liquid or glue. So to some it might look a little odd, but I have to be really careful with my Kato turnouts. I had a bad experience with my first layouts where I had point sticking, and it took me days to figure out what was going on and to get it to operate properly. So I'm going to show you what I'm using here. Here's my ballast mixture, which is a blend of Arizona Rock and Mineral and Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast. I have mixed these two together to get more of a color variation, you know, texture size variation. You have to mix this up really good because the Arizona Rock and Mineral material is actual rock, and the Woodland Scenics ballast is crushed walnut shell. So the walnut shell wants to float. So you have to really mix that up good if you're going to blend these two together. So I have a spray bottle of isopropyl alcohol, some regular Elmer's white glue, and some Woodland Scenic cement, which would be the equivalent of watered down white glue if you guys are into making your own. So the results I'm hoping to get on this one should be about the same as this layout here. I think the ballast turned out pretty well on this one. Pretty uniform. Worked out pretty well. So anyways, let's get the camera on the tripod, and here we go. So the first thing we're going to do before we distribute ballast in the center in between the rails is we're going to put a thin layer of Elmer's white glue along the built-in roadbed here. Just a very thin layer. We don't need to get it here. We don't need to get it on the ties. The only reason we're doing this is so that when we start brushing the ballast, as it spills off, it will stick to that vertical area there. So here we go. Let's take some white glue, put it in the bowl. Okay. Get some on our brush. Start doing up the sidewalls of this roadbed. Just a thin layer, just enough so we get some of this ballast sticking. I'm not going to go real heavy on the ballast on this layout because that will reduce the contrast of having almost a no ballast on my turnouts. On this side. I'm just going to do this one section to show you guys my technique here. This one section of curved radius. Okay, there we go. side. And we have our brushes ready to go to push the ballast around. I'm going to take my mix here. Take a small spoon. And just get it down the, whoops, that was way overboard. Down the center of the rails. Okay, now I'm going to take my brush, which is roughly the width of the rails here in between the ties, and I'm just going to start brushing it off to the sides here, so that way it's going to start to stick to the vertical surfaces of the roadbed. So I missed. And don't worry about what you're spilling too far off the sides at this point. So now I'm going to clear it up so you can see the ties again in the middle. I'm trying to just go one way. There we go, looking okay. Alright, you know what, I'm going to take the vacuum and vacuum it just a little bit here from where I didn't apply glue. Perfect. That aside. Oops, wrong brush. We're going to keep going. Just finish that up. Now we're going to go a little bit offset on the sides of the ties to get that off. Make sure the rail is going to clear. Okay, that works for me. So now we're going to take another brush and we're going to kind of sweep in from the edges where it's spilled off too far. Just kind of clean that up to give more of a clean look, so that way we don't have ballast spilled too far up to the sides where it starts looking sloppy. Okay, now we're going to take our brush, tap the rails a little bit, get things to kind of settle. Okay, and here comes our alcohol. I'll take a piece of paper to any overspray from going on the floor here. There's a bird behind me, so that's what you're hearing there. So we're going to really kind of saturate that with the alcohol. Alright. While we're at it, there's a little tiny bit of bare road that I'd like to cover. Okay. A little tiny piece of paper towel. Wipe that up on the rail there. Alright, there we go It looks really dark right now because it's wet with the alcohol, but it will lighten up as it dries. Now we're going to take our scenic cement. Whoops, let's get that other straight out. It's still out there first. I guess that's not coming off. Here we go. All right. So that is pretty much it, guys, and that will dry. It'll take at least 24 hours for that to be totally dry, but it should be pretty locked down and very similar to what I did on the small desert layout over here. So that's what that looks like wet. And it's looking pretty decent. It looks pretty similar job to this over here. Alright guys, so that's my basic quick ballasting method without using an eyedropper. And stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to keep working on this.